care. Lovely to have you here with us this morning. And our next panelist has been on an equally exciting journey from being at Capital One and HSBC in the United States to co-founding a social app called Neo Group, and then co-founding Ease My Trip, which is the second largest and the fastest growing travel portal in India. And it is also one of the very few tech companies in the world that bootstrap itself all the way till the IPO. I'm responsible for Ease My Trip's long-term business strategy, merger and acquisitions, marketing, public relations, investor relations, and branding. Can we have a round of applause for our next panelist, Mr. Prashant Kutti, co-founder, Ease My Trip. और ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि हम यूनिकॉर्न्स की बात करें और FMCG products की बात ना करें, right? So our next speaker has layers and layers of experience with different FMCG brands, which he leverages to build Mama Earth's 100% toxin-free products portfolio. And he was instrumental in launching Coke Zero in India. He's twice been listed amongst the top managers while he was at HUL. And he has to his credit 10 plus years of leadership experience in sales and marketing roles with world-renowned FMCG brands. Presenting to you our next panelist, Mr. Varun Alag, co-founder and CEO, Mama Earth. We always need a moderator to tie the panel together, and we have a very accomplished one who brilliantly heads one of the fastest growing digital companies in the region. Now, a company which has over 1,200 people across 5 countries, maybe 6, serving customers with cutting-edge products and services. And under his leadership, the company has been appointed as a great place to work at, not once, not twice, but thrice in a row. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our moderator, Mr. Alok Ramsasarya, CEO, Disney Interactive. All yours, sir. All yours.
We are ahead of time. I was told to start 10. We are 12:05. So great job, Niharika. And good afternoon, friends. It's my proud privilege to be hosting such an illustrious panel. मैं थोड़ा सा पुराने स्कूल का हूँ, सब लीडर अंडर 40 हैं। मेरे को तो एक ही बात याद आती है, सबके साथ शेयर कर देता हूँ कि पूर्व चलने के बड़ वही यूनिकॉर्न की पहचान कर ले। क्या look at the examples that you have in front of you, learn from them. There are lots of interesting things that I find in our panel today. Now I just touch on them. तीनों गुड़गांव से। नहीं तो पहले हम बोलते थे यूनिकॉर्न साउथ ऑफ इंडिया बनते हैं, बैंगलोर में बनते हैं, बॉम्बे में बनते हैं। ये तीनों गुड़गांव से हैं। ये तीनों वेलनेस कंटिन्यूम में हैं। One of them cares, one of them cures, one of them generates happiness. Right? Pristine care looks after surgeries. Varun and Ghazal care for your skin, for your kids' skin, for your kids' well-being. And Prashant takes care of the travel, which makes us all happy. So these were interesting commonalities I saw in our panel, and we'll touch upon more of those. They're very different in many different ways. One works with siblings, तीन भाई हैं. One works with his wife, or rather the wife works with him. And the third one works with friends from school and college. So 3 different models of growing up, creating a founding team. 3 different funding styles. Mama Earth is on Series F and profitable, so they don't need money anymore. Pristine Care is unit profitable, most likely will not need money anymore very soon. And Ease My Trip has been profitable for the last 13 years. So they definitely don't need funding anymore. But 3 different styles of managing and 3 different years or vintages. The youngest of the lot is the gentleman on my left, Harsh. Started with his co-founders in 2018, so 4 years to be a unicorn. They just raised their last round in December. and are valued at $1.4 billion. The Alags raised the last round in this, again, January or December? January, worth about $1.2 billion. Ease My Trip never raised money. They went public last year. Issue was oversubscribed 159 times. They have a market cap of $1.2 billion. So completely contrasting styles of growing their businesses. एक 1.2 बिलियन ना बड़ा सब लोग हम यूनिकॉर्न कहते हैं, कभी महसूस करके देखा नहीं? 1.2 बिलियन का मतलब हो गया 8,500 करोड़। 8,500 करोड़ में आप चंडीगढ़ का 1/3 सेक्टर खरीद सकते हो। इट्स अ लॉट ऑफ मनी। और इन तीनों ने एक कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट स्टाइल से अपनी अपनी कंपनीज को ग्रो किया है। आई एम होपिंग दैट टुडे वी टॉक अबाउट बोथ देयर अर्ली फेजेस and also their late phases where they are today. The format we are going to follow is that I'm going to invite them up to speak a bit about their journey, and then we'll go into a discussion round, a rapid fire round, and then we'll open up to question and answers. Good? Excellent. So, my privilege to invite the oldest startup, Ease My Trip, Prashant, all yours.
Hello everyone. I hope I'm loud and clear. Well, firstly, thank you, Alok ji, for such a stupendous, introduction. Well, I'm over here to share what we went through in the last 13 years to make Ease My Trip what it has become. But before that, I'll just share, few brief things about who we are. So we started this company in year 2008 with a very meager amount of investment of about 15 lakh rupees. And in the last 13 years, we have grown Ease My Trip profitably without taking any money from either any VC or a bank to become the second largest travel portal in India. So there are a lot of things which we may have done differently, and I'm over here to share some of those learnings which we ourselves have inculcated over the period of time. Well, first learning which we had was, always start with the why and surrogate yourself in a new market. So at Ease My Trip, actually even before starting the travel portal, this is better, we ran a very mom and pop kind of travel agency with the name of Duke Travel Agency. So for 1 year we were running a very small mom and pop travel agency, making tickets for people who are living nearby us. Now during those times, we learned a lot of problems which a travel agent probably faces. And then Ease My Trip was created to solve the problem of a travel agent. So for the first 3 years, Ease My Trip was only serving travel agents and solving pain points of theirs, and we knew exactly what the pain points were because we ourselves were travel agents for the first 1 year. Now, for the first 3 years of Ease My Trip, we only worked with travel agents. So that way, we were not in heads-on collision with the bigger companies which already existed, like Make My Trip, Clear Trip, Yatra, iVivo and others. So for the first 3 years, while working on B2B side, which is working with travel agents, we build our operations, we build our relationship with the airlines, we basically created the technology. And then we forayed into consumer business, which is people like you using Ease My Trip to make their flight bookings in year 2011. So this is one of the big learnings. I wouldn't have the honor to stand over here and talk to you had we started it as a B2C company. Because then there were too many players who had like very deep pockets. They all had raised tons of money from the investors. Now, and it's also not that we didn't try to raise money. I must have met about 4 or 5 investors during the initial part. But of course we got a very solid no from them. And then we realized that, hey, it's better for us to focus on our business, which is meet travel agents and convert them. So this is how the first phase of Ease My Trip was. Which brings me to the second point, which is it's okay to not to raise money. See, in India, you'd be surprised to know that there was a survey conducted by one of the very big renowned firm, which says that 83% of Indian graduates want to become an entrepreneur, where the world average is around 52%. So Indians are very entrepreneurial by nature. But one of the biggest reasons which stops people to plunge in the entrepreneur journey is basically the fear of how will they manage their finances, how will be able to get the funding. Now, I'm over here to share that it's perfectly fine to not to be able to raise money. See, VC money is a great money to solve teething problems, but there are a lot of things as well which come alongside with it. So, for example, when in year 2011, we were pivoting from travel agent business to consumer business. Honestly speaking, had we had a VC on our board, it would have been a very difficult call because our business was booming. See, as an entrepreneur, we have an outlook of a decade. We could see that the travel agent business will slow after some time. But VCs are usually trying to optimize on the short-term goals. So we knew that had we had a VC, our business was doing all right. We were doing turnover of about 300 crores. And we were breaking even, we were not making a lot of money. But had there been quite a few VCs on our board, I don't think so we would be able to make that change. And the other thing which we have realized is, in the path of growing fast, this is one common thing which I have seen in the other companies. In the path of growing fast, many entrepreneurs do not pay too much attention on efficiency because money is abundantly available. Now, after 10 years, when the industry is in the consolidation phase, every industry goes through a phase of having a lot of abundance of money and then the consolidation. Now, after 10 years, when there's a consolidation phase, and it becomes extremely hard to raise money, at that time the culture of not having an efficient organization is already set in. And it becomes extremely difficult for any startup to change that culture. So by not having a virtue of VC or money which you have as the safety net, you actually create a culture of having a very efficient organization. So this is another learning which we have had, that we've always focused on efficiency more than the growth in the first 10 years of our life. The third learning I want to share is the discipline can compound massively. See, according to me, businesses are done only for two reasons. Reason number one, to serve your consumers very well, and reason number two, to do it profitably so you can serve them for a longer period of time. Every business has a unit economics, and unit economics must be respected. In my line of business, the gross margins are anywhere between 8 to 10%. In a company like SaaS company, EdTech company, or Mama Earth or your company, the margins could be extremely high. But in my business, the margins are only 8 to 10%. Now, of which 5% is straight away gone in payment gateway charges, discounts, and marketing expenditure, which is basically driven by the industry. So you're only left with 3 to 4% for your employee expenses, for your other expenses, and then profit afterwards. So we had to innovate on how do we create our team structure. And this is one thing which I think we may have done well to remain bootstrapped and grow to the level of IPO, which is in our organization, almost up to 70% of our managers come from our call center department. Most of the hiring which we do are in our call center department, and the managers, be it product manager, quality manager, VP of operations, most of them have served minimum for 2 years in our call center department. The overachiever in our call center department, we graduate them and we train them for 6-7 months, and then we graduate them to the different roles. Now, how does this help company? Firstly, these people know company better than I do because they have spoken to customers for at least 2 years time frame. And second, it keeps the entire team extremely motivated. Of the 500 staff which we have, almost about 280 are in our call center and back-end operations. Now imagine that these guys who are in our call center earning salary of between 20 to 25,000 per month, they know that if they do well for the company, their entire career path can change. And which keeps the team extremely motivated to achieve well. So this is one learning which we have had in our organization, is to grow people within the company, to help them do better for themselves and do better for us. The fourth learning is during the pandemic times. Of course, we all know during the pandemic times, travel industry was one of the most severely affected industry. Now, the learning which we have had is, the job of the entrepreneur is to find opportunities in the challenging times.
Worrying part can be delegated. Worrying part can be given to somebody else. Entrepreneur's job is to find opportunities in those challenging times. So for example, as soon as lockdown happened, eSmart, we realized that everybody is looking for refund for their hotel, for their flights, for their buses, because the entire country is at standstill. So at eSmart Trip, even before airlines and hotel gave us the money, we used our cash reserves and we gave 110 crores from our pocket to consumers as refund, while waiting for money to come from the airlines later. Now, at that time, it was a pretty ballsy decision because, God forbid, if any airline or hotel had gone bankrupt, we would have lost the entire money. But that didn't happen. However, what happened because of this is, just immediately after the lockdown, when things started opening up again, we immediately jumped from being third largest to second largest. This was the immediate impact which we saw by doing good for the people, by giving them refund in the timely manner. And it paid off really well for us. The second thing which we did during the second lockdown was, as soon as we ended the second lockdown, the second wave was over, we realized that there is a lot of inertia in people to make the bookings because they're worried what if they get quarantined or what if they catch COVID or any fever. So at eSmart Trip, we created a service which was very simple. Just use eSmart Trip, and if you have to cancel your flight ticket for any medical reasons, just upload doctor's prescription and we will refund you the entire money, including the money deducted by the airlines or the hotel. We started this and immediately it paid off tremendously well. In fact, half the team was extremely worried because we all know how easy it is to get the doctor's prescription in India. So, and anyways, around 12 to 13% of tickets get cancelled for various reasons. Now imagine if somebody is booking a ticket worth 4,000 rupees and they cancel it, airline themselves deduct 3,000 rupees. And then our service charges are 300 rupees. So a customer ends up getting 700 rupees. But with this service, we were promising them that we will give them the entire 4,000 back from our own pocket. Now, had this been misused, I could easily tell you that we would have gone bankrupt. But thankfully, this is one learning which we have, is that when you do something for people and trust them, they trust you back. Less than 1% of all cancellations are happening because of medical reasons. In fact, I sat in the call center and I took one of the calls of an elderly lady, and she was trying to cancel the ticket, and I told her, ma'am, are you aware about the service of eSmart Trip where you could get the entire money back by uploading doctor's prescriptions? She said, yes, beta, I'm very well aware of it. I said, ma'am, so why don't you consider redoing your cancellation and upload a doctor's prescription? She said that if I came around this service, then you're going to stop this service
For people who actually need it. So I'm good without it. So this was one of the very, very strong learnings which we had, that if you put trust in people, they trust you back. So these were the small but significant learnings which we have had. I know I'm probably also running out of time. So with this, thank you so much.
Thank you, Prashant. Great insight. Varun.
Hello, Chandigarh! मैं पंजाबी बोल रहा हूँ. I'm one of you, and I'm here, and I'm so happy that I'm addressing you. क्योंकि यार मेरे को ना एक चीज़ बड़ी चुभ रही है काफी टाइम से. Did you see the latest state rankings? Punjab is down to 19th, 20th. We were the number one state in 80s and 90s in terms of GDP per capita. And I'm sure Vanu is with right? And I was excited because अगर हमने जो भी lessons हैं and कुछ भी उससे इसको impact हुआ है, we will be so delighted. In fact, all of you are businessmen. Imagine all of you decide कि यार 5 साल में 10 गुना करना धंधा. 5 साल में 10 गुना. The impact that would create on the state and our community is going to be massive. So बस वो decision करना. And I'm going to talk about our story from an angle of learnings कि यार कौन सी 5-6 learnings हैं different stages पे जो हमने देखी थी. ताकि you can take some of those away, whatever is relevant to you. And when I'm telling this story, imagine me and Ghazal are standing here together because every piece of it we have gone through together. Let me start by the first part of our story. I would summarize it by saying आवश्यकता आविष्कार की जननी है. Need is the mother of all invention. Reality is whatever has been invented, whatever technology has been invented. You look at mobile phones today and you think, hey, this happened in some room where Steve Jobs was thinking about some creative idea. It didn't happen there. It happened during wars. Second World War में वो technology बनी थी. Because need was there. Each of our businesses, and especially ours when we started, it's a need-based business. हमारी personal needs से था. We felt कि जिस type के products हमको चाहिए थे वो नहीं मिल रहे थे. And उस need को उसके बाद हमने जो है we went down, हमने 100-200 लोगों से market में खड़े होके, और ये कोई complex game नहीं होती research करना और ये सब करना. All businesses are human businesses. हमेशा ये याद रखिए आपने इन द एंड एक ह्यूमन को, एक इंसान को जो है सर्व करना, और अपने आप को उस पोजीशन में रख के देखो, उनसे बात करके देखो, आपको जो है ऐसे सवाल मिलेंगे जिनके जवाब आपको चाहिए, जो आपको ढूंढने पड़ेंगे बिफोर यू एक्चुअली टेक थिंग्स आउट. सो ऑल बिजनेसेस आर सॉल्विंग सम नीड. आपको वो डिफाइन करना कि आप क्या, एंड दैट नीड कुड बी योर्स or that need could be someone else's. But उसकी definition clear होना और ये पता होना कि यार मैं क्यों इस need को सबसे better solve कर सकता हूँ या मेरा तरीका क्यों बेहतर है. ये दो answers clear होना towards the start of your journey are very important. And which is the first stage that we went through. I think the second stage that we went through is what everyone calls hustle. And I think if there is one thing that we have learned from that stage, the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. It's a army saying. जितनी preparation करोगे before you dive in to take your product to the consumer, जितनी clarity लाओगे कि यार ये क्यों फेल हो सकता है, मैं कैसे इसको ठीक करूँ, how do I get better, how am I 10x better than what is there in the market. वो जितनी क्लैरिटी लेके आओगे उतना बेटर जो है मार्केट आपको रिस्पॉन्ड करेगी. सो द मोर यू स्वेट इन पीस द लेस यू विल ब्लीड इन वॉर. जब पीस टाइम है तो मेहनत कर लो. जो आपका प्लानिंग टाइम है, जब आपने जो है प्रोडक्ट बनाना है, किसी चीज़ में कॉम्प्रोमाइज मत करो. मैं ये भी नहीं कह रहा कि बिल्कुल परफेक्ट प्रोडक्ट की वेट करो. दैट इज देन टेकिंग टू लॉन्ग एंड वी डोंट हैव टाइम. हमें 5 साल में 10 गुना करना है दिन का, हमारे पास टाइम नहीं, तो हमें निकालना भी है. बट मेक श्योर यू आर नॉट कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग ऑन द कोर एंड यू आर इंश्योरिंग यू आर पुटिंग इन दैट 16-hour day that is required during that time. I think the third learning for us was listen more than you talk. हम सेलिंग में लॉन्च करने के बाद इतने बिजी हो जाते हैं कि हमें सिर्फ अपनी आवाज़ सुनाई देनी शुरू हो जाती है. बिकॉज वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट आवर ओन आइडियाज टू गो थ्रू द डे. आप अपनी सेल्स पिच जो है वही कर रहे हैं और वही सुन रहे हो. What is more important is to listen what the other person has to say when you're pitching. आप उनकी बात सुनो. हम जब इनिशियली अपने मिक्स लेके मदर्स के पास गए और हमने वो सेल करना शुरू किया, हमें बहुत सारी चीज़ें पता चलनी शुरू हुई. एंड इन फैक्ट दैट्स व्हाई हैविंग अ राइट को-फाउंडर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज आई एम अ इम्पेशेंट मैन. मैं फोन में 5 मिनट से ऊपर बात नहीं कर सकता. मतलब मैं वो स्कूल में ही वही लड़का था जो मतलब बाकी लोग ऐसे रात को 2-2 घंटे 3-3 घंटे फ़ोन पे ऐसे बैठे रहते थे. मेरे से 5 मिनट से ऊपर बात नहीं होती फ़ोन पे. आई एम वेरी कट टू कट बैक यार, अच्छा ये करना था, ये हो गया, नहीं हुआ क्या. बट आई हैड द प्लेजर ऑफ हैविंग माई वाइफ विद मी, जो आधा पौना घंटा जो है मदर से बात करती थी. इसमें 20 मिनट जो है वॉज वेरी लाइव कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड ओनली 10 minutes was real work conversation. But it's important to have that capacity to listen. अगर आप सुनेंगे नहीं अपने कंज्यूमर्स की, आप फीडबैक नहीं सुनेंगे और सिर्फ अपनी सुनते रहेंगे तो प्रॉब्लम, आप इम्प्रूव नहीं कर पाओगे. और गेम्स सारी इंप्रूवमेंट की, क्योंकि आपका पहला प्रोडक्ट कभी भी परफेक्ट नहीं होगा। अगर आप ये मान के चलोगे कि यार परफेक्ट नहीं, पर मैं हर महीने सुनता रहूंगा और इसको परफेक्ट करता रहूंगा, आई थिंक दैट इज गोइंग टू टेक यू वेरी फार। सो दैट्स द थर्ड थिंग दैट वी लर्न। I think the fourth thing which we learned was when COVID came. और मुझे अभी भी याद है वो 23 मार्च जो है 2020, उससे जस्ट पहले हमने सारे अपने बिजनेस प्लान क्लोज किए थे। वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट यार ये 4 गुना ग्रोथ करेंगे, साल में तोड़ देंगे, सारी टीम फुली एनर्जाइज्ड। और 8:30 बजे फिर सर आ गए, उन्होंने बोला बंद सब। हमने भी बोला ठीक है यार, सबका बंद हो गया है तो अपना ही बंद हो गया है, कोई ऑप्शन थोड़ी है, सारे ही बंद है ना, कुछ कर नहीं सकते। तो दैट्स द फर्स्ट रिस्पॉन्स कि वही होगा सारा का रिस्पॉन्स। तो और दुनिया ही रुक गई है तो क्या टेंशन है, रिलेटिवली तो आप वही हो ना, कहीं मूव नहीं कर रहे। दैट्स द फर्स्ट थॉट दैट कम्स। बट 4-5 दिन बाद उस स्टेज में रह के we started feeling यार अगर हम भी ऐसे सोचेंगे तो हम कैसे स्टार्टअप हुए, हाउ आर वी डिफरेंट देन अदर्स। हमें तो थोड़ा डिफरेंट एंगल से सोचना पड़ेगा, विच इज व्हाट दे से, राइट, द ग्लास हाफ फुल एंड ग्लास हाफ एम्प्टी। नजरिए की बात है सारी। सेम चीज को आप इस तरीके से देख सकते हो कि दुनिया रुक गई है, आप भी रुक जाओ। सेम चीज को आप इस तरीके से भी देख सकते हो कि दुनिया रुक गई है भैया, यही दौड़ने का टाइम है। जितनी लीड अब ले ली ना, बाकी जितना पीछे रह जाएंगे। And that realization happened to us. Having a drink one night, Black Label is really helpful and inspiration is what we realized during our journey. And, of course, Chandigarh's favorite drink, even higher than water is whatever. So, but that's the realization that we had, right? And there is a saying in English as well which says you can overtake one car on a sunny day, but you can overtake 6 to 7 cars on a rainy day. And that's the realization that we had कि यार ये टाइम है, अगर डबल डाउन मारा तो जो लीड मिलेगी वो काफी देर तक रहेगी, बिकॉज बाकियों को पकड़ने में डिफिकल्टी हो। एंड विच इज व्हाट वी सडनली डिड। हमने पूरी टीम को जो इकट्ठा किया, वी ऑल गॉट टुगेदर एंड वी सेड कि यार बॉस, वी हैव टू लुक एट दिस डिफरेंटली। अगर हम लोग भी इसको उसी नजरिए से देखेंगे तो फिर what is the difference between us and other companies? Let us act like startups. Let's act like challengers. Let's try this as an opportunity. और ये मैं बता रहा हूँ कि COVID was one such instance. ये हमारी लाइफ में बहुत सारे आएंगे ऐसे। GST was another such instance when it happened. अभी a lot of people are saying there is lack of funding.
भैया ये बहुत अच्छा टाइम है, बिकॉज जिनको लग रहा है लैक ऑफ फंडिंग वो शायद अग्रेसिव नहीं मारेंगे। आप इसी टाइम में प्रॉफिटेबल बिजनेस को डबल डाउन कर सकते हो। सो
ऐसे बहुत सारे इंस्टेंस आएंगे जहाँ पे आपको जो है यू हैव टू पुश बैक एंड थिंक कि एम आई लुकिंग एट इट लाइक अ चैलेंजर, एम आई सीइंग थिंग्स ग्लास हाफ फुल, एम आई मिसिंग सिल्वर लाइनिंग समवेयर, कि यार कहीं ना कुछ ब्राइट चीज है और अगर वो किसी को दिखनी चाहिए तो मेरे को दिखनी चाहिए। वो एटीट्यूड होना can take you to different places, and that's what happened to us in 3 months. What we did in February, we did 3 times of that in June. This is all lockdown 2020. That's possible. And I think the last thing that I would say is we are as a country probably best placed for growth and success. इस country से ज़्यादा opportunity, growth, numbers कहीं और नहीं। Next 10 years is really ours to screw up. If we all decide we want to make it big, which at least we have, we want to challenge companies like L'Oreal, HUL, and we want to make sure we are bigger than them in beauty. And we are going to go for it. And I would love if you guys today also decide, whatever sector you are in, अगले 10 साल में you will create companies which you, your state, your country are going to be proud of. You're going to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Varun. Very inspirational. And baby of the Lord.
Can you guys hear me? I of course don't look like a baby. Of course, my size doesn't say that. So, when Ty reached out to us, I think the goal and the objective was that when we talk about some of the learnings on stage, there will be a lot of audience. Of course, all our amazing sharks took all that limelight right in the beginning. So why don't we do this? Why don't we try to fill this hall? And let me maybe risk being a complete stupid here, okay? एक बार try करते हैं. Why don't we make as much noise as we can sitting on your chairs? Just shout out loud, ताकि बाहर जितने लोगों ने लगे यार अंदर कुछ तो interesting हो रहा है. Let's go and see it, right? क्योंकि अभी कुछ seats खाली हैं. हमें मजा आएगा, हम भी थोड़ी अच्छी बातें आपको बताएंगे. बहुत सारे failures देखे. I think you heard from two amazing people. One of the folks, CEO of a public company. It's not easy to be one. The other one has built probably the most amazing, brand in the last 10 years. So why don't we actually make some noise and get everyone in? Do you make sense?
Yeah.
Guys, एक बार try कर सकते
nice guys.
हैं. एक बार. एक बार और कर लेते हैं. सारे लोग अंदर आए नहीं अभी. Why don't we try one more time? What the shit? Let's get everyone in. See, I'll tell you, what I just did was I completely risked being a fool. And maybe nobody will come in. 2-4 आने लग गए, so maybe some success. लेकिन this is actually, maybe some more are coming in. So brownie points I can take. What says sir? Right? But this is what really is. You heard from Ashneer, Ghazal, again 2 most amazing people. You heard from the 2 most amazing founders here, and all of you guys. One of the things which binds all of us is actually not success. It is failure, right? I think sir mentioned about some of my failure stints. So I failed a billion times in my life. I failed to appear for my engineering exam. I failed to get a job after getting to an amazing university in the US. I'm lucky to get there. वो कैसे हुआ पता नहीं. But I failed to get that job. Some people said you are turbaned. You look like Osama's brother, and so many different things, right? And they said investment banking job in Silicon Valley is for white males, 6'3", extremely handsome, right? You don't fit any of that. So I failed that. Then I failed at my first startup. Then I failed at my second startup. Then I failed at my third startup. And I can tell you, when Varun, was describing all the challenges, and so did Pradesh. Failure is the common thing. Never ever, never ever fear it. Okay. Another thing. Thank you, brother. Another thing. By the way, maybe sounds embarrassing to some of you. We 3 are here as unicorn founders. Technically, there is nothing called unicorn. It's a notional thing. It does not exist. Okay? So my point is, don't run after unicorn. Don't run after the status. Don't run after 40 under 40. I also got 40 under 40, right? But don't run after it. Let that be a byproduct. I came back to India after doing some work in the US in 2010, and I felt कि यार जिंदगी में कुछ भी करना है, एक $1 billion कंपनी बनानी है. It took me literally 11 years to get there, and the day we hit that note, उस दिन लगा shit, the world is over, कोई ambition ही नहीं आ, right? For I think almost maybe a month, I could actually figure out what to do next with my life. Sometimes, so drive a mission, okay? Don't fear failure. The next thing I tell you is believe in yourself. How many of you, when you have decided to buy a vehicle, it could be the most fancy bike, it could be a good car, and you suddenly see that on the road? How many of you would have done that? आपको गाड़ी खरीदी और वही गाड़ी सड़क पे दिखती है. That's called belief. The moment you start to believe in yourself, you will start to see the possibilities. राइट? आप एक गाड़ी देखते हो, आपको लगता है अरे यार ये ब्लू में भी आती है, अरे यार इस मॉडल में भी आती है, अरे बड़ी भी आती है, छोटी भी आती है, ये वर्जन भी आता है. सो बिलीव इन योर थिंग्स. The next thing I'll tell you, I think Varun talked about next 5 years, 10 years. Don't think short term. I had an entrepreneur who मेरे पास एक दिन आया and lucky enough to go through urban club, meet some most amazing people. So that entrepreneur comes to me, Harsh, and that guy says, by the way, I'm from Ludhiana. I can talk in chaste Punjabi for the next 20 hours, but maybe I'll not do that right now. Some of you might not follow it. और वो मेरे पास आया कहता, पाजी मैं स्टार्टअप कर रहा है. I want to do this startup, and that guy is like the most amazing pedigree, background, education, everything in place. He said, "Paji, मैं startup कर रहा है." मैं कहा, amazing. He said, "एक साल, I have put down 1 year of my salary, 1 year of timeline, 1 year of risk. अगर हो गया था, बहुत बढ़िया, नहीं था, I'll move on to something else." And I told him, dude, when I started Pristine, it was 5 months after I got married. And I have been on the brink of divorce probably 5 times in the last 3 years. And you are saying, "Ik saal." Don't do that. Don't fool yourself. Never do that. Build real business. Prashant said, build profitability. There's nothing which replaces that. It's built for the long term. Okay? Please do that. Another thing I'll tell you is, there is a circle of gratitude, and I can almost guarantee if all our colleagues agree or don't agree, this is the absolute truth. Truth क्या होता है? हम स्टार्टअप शुरू करते हैं, बहुत फाइट मारते हैं, मोस्ट चीज़ें फेल होती हैं, हम और मेहनत करते हैं, कुछ चीज़ें कामयाब होने लग जाती हैं, राइट? हम मेहनत बढ़ा देते हैं क्योंकि सक्सेस दिखता है, थोड़ी चीज़ें कामयाब होने लग जाती है, फिर सब लोग बोलते हैं यार आप तो अमेजिंग हो, चाहे चंडीगढ़ बुला लेता आपको कि यार आप लोग तो आके अपनी स्टोरी शेयर करो. इन्वेस्टर्स आपको बोलते हैं कि यार आपने तो यंगेस्ट हेल्थ केयर यूनिकॉर्न बना दिया. एंड यू स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग ब्लाइंड स्पॉट्स. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट डेवलपिंग ब्लाइंड स्पॉट्स, यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग लेस हार्ड. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग लेस हार्ड, you start seeing failures. When you start seeing failures, you start working hard again. That is the circle of gratitude. If I could tell you anything to avoid ever, is this circle of, I don't know, you can call it whatever, but we believe there is a circle of gratitude. It will humble you like nothing else in your life. I actually got associated, or not associated, exposed to Thai in 2008. This is in San Francisco. I met this gentleman called Kaval Rikhi, right? All the folks at Thai know who Kaval Rikhi is. And we had this conclave, and there are these guys from Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Pepsi, Coke, Walmart, all of them amazing dressed individuals. They came on the stage and maybe talked some not so interesting things. And then this guy comes on, probably in his 50s, wearing sneakers, and probably not as, let's say, formally dressed as others. And he was like a mountain of energy. Like a mountain of energy talking on the stage, pacing up and down, sharing his experiences, talking about, in fact, that time I think it was less Thai, it was the Indus entrepreneurs. I don't know, it's not here, but anyways. And he was such a mountain of energy that after the talk, that's the guy who had all the crowd honking after him, right? And I said, dude, why is this guy different from everybody out there? The difference was, he was an entrepreneur and super excited of what he was trying to do. So, think around that. And that's the first exposure of Thai. All of you guys are here, we talk some, very amazing things. I'll show you one more example. Never, ever fear competition. Varun talked about it, Prashant talked about it. Never fear competition. I'll tell you something. जब मैं बड़ा रहा था तो, as every other kid in India, मेरे को लगता था मैं तो सचिन तेंदुलकर बन जाऊंगा, मेरे से अच्छा तो क्रिकेटर को खेल ही नहीं सकता. मैं तो एक जगह पे खड़े होके छक्के पे छक्के मार सकता हूँ. And I thought I was the thing. And I spoke to my parents and to some of my teachers. I said मुझे क्रिकेटर बनना है. वो मुझे पहले तो हंस दिए, बोल रहे हैं काका, इंडिया में इंडिया में ना 100 करोड़ लोग हैं. हमारी आबादी 100 करोड़ थी, believe it or not. This is pre-YouTube. Some of you don't know that there was a time when हम वीडियो बिना स्टॉप करे नहीं देख सकते थे. हम YouTube ऑन करते थे, वीडियो ऑन करते थे, पॉज करते थे, बफर होती थी, ऑन करते थे, पॉज करते थे, बफर होती थी. Some of you don't know. There was a time there was no mobile phones, and people used to sit around a TV, watch Saas Bahu serials sometimes at home. So, Dad, मेरे को creator बनना है. I told my teachers the same. I said, Kaka, India with 100 crore लोग हैं, and there are only 11 members in the Indian cricket team. What are your chances? You know, that's very discouraging. When you start doing the math of 11 over 100 crores, there is no percentage. I mean, it's 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. But then you start thinking differently. If we are talking of men's cricket team, we are saying out of 100 crore, potentially 50 crore are women. So the percentage comes down. Now we are at 50 crores. Out of those 50 crores, there will be at least, you know, we are still a young nation, there will be 30% people, let's say who are above 35, who have gone past, let's say, a competitive cricketing age. Reduce 15 crores, now we are at 35 crores. Of this 35 crores, many of them are unfortunate but true, living in the parts of the country where it's very hard for you to ever, accomplish anything. And that is 60-70% of our population living in the rural India, and we should all, find a way to get there. Reduce another 50%. From 35 crore, you are at 17 crore. Out of 17 crore, many of them will not be interested in cricket. They will be interested in other sports. Let's say that is 50%. You are down to roughly 8 crores. Out of that 8 crores, only 20% will work as hard, will whip their ass, will go for it, will work 12 hours a day, will go 5 o'clock in the morning, will go 2 o'clock in the afternoon, will play till 10 o'clock in the night. Probably 20%. And suddenly, you are at 1.5 crore folks. Now 11 over 1.5 crores is also pretty much nothing. But 11 over 1.5 crores, 11 over 100 crores. The game changes. So never worry about competition and don't extremely. And I know we have slightly overstepped time, but we have some amazing questions and hopefully we'll not be able to disappoint you. I'll tell you something more, by the way. I am slightly younger to these two amazing entrepreneurs. One thing I've learned is be approachable. If I write to that, by the way, how I met Varun, I wrote to him on LinkedIn. I said, dude, you guys are building the most amazing brand. मुझे आपसे ज्ञान चाहिए. And he said, कहाँ रहते हो तुम? मैंने कहा गुड़गांव में. He said, यार मैं भी गुड़गांव में रहता हूँ. एक गुड़गांव के हमारे घरों के बीच में एक छोटा सा होटल है. He said, वहाँ मिलते हैं संडे को लंच करते हैं. That's how I met Varun and Ghazal, right? You reach out to people and they will help, right? And I can tell you for every one of them, I can speak for all of them. I'm glad to know each one of them. Please reach out, ask for help. It is okay. LinkedIn पे जाओ, email पे जाओ. अच्छा email, आप सबको पता है कि हम में से 99% लोगों का email क्या होता है? First name dot last name at company का नाम. That is how I got my first job at Urban Clap. I wrote abhiraj.bal@urbanclap.com. I said, यार देखो आपने कंपनी शुरू की है, बिजनेस मॉडल थोड़ा कम है, रेवेन्यू ज़्यादा है, मैं 5 बार या 3 बार स्टार्टअप में फेल हुआ, मैं बहुत मेहनत करूँगा. And he said, why don't you come join us? And I got a chance to build India's largest services marketplace business. So reach out to people. Okay? Reach out to people, ask for help, ask for guidance, and I hope all of you guys do amazing well. So please dream big and work very hard. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, there you have it. 3 different entrepreneurs. I didn't know you had invested in this company. Yeah. And I said, I did not know Varun had invested in your company. So great. Excellent.
In that money. I'm saying I would rather invest in a startup than invest in stock market because I have so much belief in entrepreneurs over professionals, right? And of course, Harshit is amazing, right?
So first name dot last name at mama.com. Varun is doing angel. Please reach out.
Okay, great. So I think we got 3 different journeys and funding की बात कहीं नहीं आई थी कहीं पे थोड़ी सी, but I hope you got the key thing, right? It doesn't matter how you got there. You start with a use case. क्या problem solve कर रहे हो? I think all 3 of you start with a use case, solve that problem, right? Did the co-founding team, spouse, siblings, 3 भाई and 3 friends ever get in the way? one line short answers so that we can cover more ground.
If they get in the way, how are they co-founding people? I mean, that's the whole point, right? Right? You have to work as a single unit, and that's how I think all three of us have had a great luck.
I mean, basically, you divide the work so that it doesn't conflict in decision making for anyone. That's how you move fast and forward.
Great.
I would actually recommend everyone to have co-founders. This journey is not easy, and when you have maybe 2 or 3 people and you can fight it hard together, there's nothing like it. Yes, co-founders come in the way, but in the right way. They will question, they will call you out, they will call your bullshit, they will call your gyan and say, you know, without using the cuss words, sense nahi ban raha hai to bakwas mat karo.
Excellent.
You need co-founders. Varun said we keep hearing ourselves. Co-founders will keep you in check. You need to have them.
Great, great. And also, I think one of the other things was you solve the problem and then you scale. So you were looking at profit earlier. What about you guys? Profit versus scale. At what point did profit become more important than the scale? Or was scale always the goal in the early years of your operations?
मेरा मानना ये है कि आपको ये पता होना चाहिए कि आपकी जो बिजनेस फंडामेंटल्स है ना, दे आर वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. आफ्टर दैट यू हैव टू डिसाइड ऑन वन डिस्प्रोपोर्शनेट गोल्स.
बिकॉज या तो हम एक डिस्प्रोपोर्शनेट गोल चेज कर सकते हैं या 3 एवरेज गोल्स. फॉर एग्जांपल वी डिसाइडेड दैट वन डिस्प्रोपोर्शनेट गोल इज ग्रोथ. तो हम लोग ब्लाइंडली जो है वो ग्रोथ चेज कर रहे हैं. वी आर 10x इन द लास्ट 2 years. बट वी ऑल्सो न्यू कि फंडामेंटली ना हमारा बिजनेस बहुत सॉलिड है, बिकॉज हमारा 70% ग्रॉस मार्जिन है, हमें टेंशन नहीं है. तो अगर ग्रोथ आएगी तो प्रॉफिट विल क्लियरली फॉलो.
Great. Harsh?
देखो आप पूछ रहे हो कि मम्मी वर्सेस पापा, राइट? आई मीन हाउ डू यू चूज दैट?
Correct. At which stage?
No, so I'm talking that, right? So do you at any stage choose mummy versus papa? You can't, right? The answer in, I think you question on funding. You will, there are exceptions and there are missed decisions, right? 9 out of 10 startups fail. So don't go by who is getting funded. Real business बनाओ हमेशा, जो real problem solve करे. मैंने 4 बनाए हैं, पहले तीनों में 5 साल लगाए, एक भी पैसा रेज नहीं किया, rather रेज नहीं हुआ, another failure. इंडिया की कोई ऐसी VC फंडिंग नहीं है, चाहे चंडीगढ़ एंजल्स इंक्लूडेड, जिन्होंने मुझे बोला नहीं कि बॉस यू आर एब्सोल्यूट बुलशिट एंड गो बैक, राइट? कोई ऐसी नहीं है. सीड फंड करके कंपनी होती थी, बॉम्बे एंजल्स, मुंबई एंजल्स, हैदराबाद एंजल्स, Chennai Angels, 1% angel group, Chennai Angel. He said you are bullshitting. I can't even follow your language, so what will you teach me, right? Profit and scale, sir, go hand in hand. See, you don't want to run a बड़ी छोटी सी कंपनी जिसका प्रॉफिट अच्छा हो, स्केल नहीं हो, और आप बहुत बड़ी कंपनी स्केल रन करोगे, प्रॉफिट नहीं हो तो इम्प्लोड हो ही जाएगी. So I think be smart about it. Profit and scale go hand in hand.
Great. Operations focus. You said business is sound. You mentioned operations focus. You mentioned the business organization. So always very strong focus on the bottom line, even if you're not making money. Making sure your process and your operations are very streamlined. Is that a key requirement in the initial phases of the organization? Do you agree?
So I'll take that. Basically starting में आपका vision clear होना चाहिए. Without the vision, ये सारी चीजें fall back करी जाएंगी. If you have a very clear vision, if you can see आप किस direction की तरफ जाना चाह रहे हो, I think more or less times things will fall in places अगर आपका mission statement बहुत clear है. Strategically, operationally, profitably या non-profitably, eventually end goal पे पहुंच जाते हैं अगर goal long term भी बहुत clear है as an entrepreneur. So for me, I think one of the biggest things which I see differentiator between success and non-success is basically bias towards action. If you have a very strong bias towards action मतलब आपको डिसीजन लेना है. अब आप अगर 10 में से 7 डिसीजन भी गलत ले रहे हो ना, तो भी इतना बड़ा इम्पैक्ट नहीं आएगा, rather than आप डिसीजन ही नहीं ले रहे हो. That's my learning, that basically आपकी गलतियां माफ है, लेकिन एक ऐसे स्टेज में रहने, जैसे कि as I was saying, इंडिया में बहुत सारे लोग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स बनना चाहते हैं, लेकिन बनते नहीं हैं. So there's a word for it, entrepreneur. और मुझसे कोई भी पूछता है कि what is the key to success of being an entrepreneur? मेरे हिसाब से सबसे बड़ा है just jump the boat. बैठे सोचने से काम नहीं होगा. You have to take action. You have to have bias towards action. And if you have a bias towards action, no matter what, in a long term you will be sorted.
Great. So one of the things is that none of these founders here or none of these companies are IT companies per se. They are non-SaaS, non-tech, but they are possible only because of tech. So how important has tech been from the beginning of your journey?
So I think there is a philosophy of extremistan versus mediocristan businesses, right? So mediocristan एक जगह है जहाँ पे सारे बिजनेस में जितनी मेहनत करो उतने या जितने बंदे डालो उतने के हिसाब से ग्रो करता है, और एक्सट्रीमिस्तान एक जगह है जहाँ पे जो है आप अगर राइट चीज बिल्ड कर दो तो उसके बाद जैसे आपको ग्रो करना है मेहनत कम लगती है. एंड दैट इज व्हाट टेक्नोलॉजी brings as a difference, right? Now the big differentiator is आपको शुरू में you don't need to always build technology, you can always deploy technology as well, right? But don't take a call of not using technology, right? That is a wrong call, right? Just और ये भी कॉल मत लो कि यार मैं 3 साल लगा के इसको बनाऊंगा और फिर लॉन्च करता हूँ. There is always products available in the market and deploy them. Sometimes it is just about great execution. And a great example of this is Jubilant, right? Domino's. They don't have any of their inbuilt technology. Still, they've been delivering pizzas in 22 minutes for the last 4 years. और यहाँ कोई commerce अब जाके है. तो use technology and don't worry about only building it, deploy as well.
Great, thanks. And I think one of the other things with technology is also the digital marketing piece of it. मेरा personal bias है, but I think how important has technology been from the marketing perspective, and what have you leveraged more? So if you look at digital mix, I see all of you guys leveraging digital influencers, celebrities, investing in branding, not like viral, but your brands very invested in. So what's your top marketing channel for you?
See, in my mind, marketing channels vary as per your stage. आप किस cohort को reach करना चाह रहे हो, कितने लोगों को reach out करना चाह रहे हो, decides what is the right channel for you to use. Right? Initially, when we were just launching, हमारा सबसे पहले मिलने में ऑब्जेक्टिव था यार अगर 1000 लोग खरीद लेना हमसे, पर ऐसे 1000 लोग खरीदे जो actually make a difference, right? जो उसके बाद अगर जाके बात करेंगे and people will listen. Right? Secondly, these are the 1,000 fans, right, who others will look up to. Right? Being in the right company is important. So if you're seen with the right people in the start, right, then a lot more people adopt you. Right? तो उस टाइम में हमने तो डायरेक्ट कॉलिंग की, हमने इनको ढूंढ के निकाला, हमने इनसे डायरेक्टली बात की, वो किया. Right? उसके बाद ऑफ कोर्स हमने ऐसे ही लोग फेसबुक पे by culling their data using lookalike technologies, we used to reach out to some of these people. बट हमने सोशल प्रूफ ही यूज़ किया कि यार देखो ये लोग जो है यूज़ कर रहे हैं, ये रियल पीपल हैं, लुक व्हाट दे आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्रोडक्ट, ये आप जैसे ही लोग हैं और इनको ये प्रोडक्ट पसंद आएगा. सो आई थिंक टुवर्ड्स एंड अब हम टेलीविजन का एग्रेसिव यूज़ कर रहे हैं बिकॉज वी नीड टू रीच आउट टू द मासेस. राइट? सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन योर जर्नी योर मीडिया choices change.
Start with sales, get the ideal customer profiles, and reach out directly, and move towards marketing to build your brand and leverage whatever you got from it.
Yeah.
For you.
I have a very contradictory view on marketing, on digital marketing. Basically, in the last 13 years put together, we must have spent about 30-40 crores on digital marketing spend, while my competitor spends 1,800 crore every year. This is the difference I'm talking about. Just show of hands, how many of you have used eSmartTrip or visited our application or website? Just show of hands. Now, I can almost guarantee that 90% of you would have heard about eSmartTrip through somebody recommending you because we don't charge convenience fees. Now, this is primarily how we grow. In fact, मेरा तो view ये है कि जिस साल मैंने ज़्यादा marketing की ना, उस साल मेरी growth कम हुई. Like literally, मैंने देखा है जिस साल हमने ज़्यादा marketing की, our growth was less. Otherwise, we are growing at 50% per annum. And I'll tell you why we are trying to understand कैसा हो क्यों रहा है, right? Basically, जो पावर वर्ड ऑफ माउथ के थ्रू कन्वर्जन्स में है वो टीवी एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स के थ्रू नहीं आती है. एंड व्हेन आई एम माई सेल्फ बीटिंग माई ड्रम एंड टेलिंग एवरीवन कि मैं कन्वीनियंस फीस चार्ज नहीं करता, तो आप मेरी बात नहीं सुनोगे, आप सोचोगे यार कुछ और चार्ज करता होगा. लेकिन जब आपका एक फ्रेंड है जो बायस नहीं है eSmartTrip के लिए, वो बोलता है कि यार eSmartTrip कन्वीनियंस फीस चार्ज नहीं करता है, तो आप जरूर सुनोगे. और जब मैं मार्केटिंग करता हूँ तो लोग मेरी मार्केटिंग कब करते हैं, क्योंकि देन आई एम नॉट अंडर द रेडार. राइट?
जब मैं अपनी मार्केटिंग उनको कर रहा हूँ तो लोग एक दूसरे को ज़्यादा बता रहे हैं इस मैटर के बारे में. For the last 13 years, this is what we have observed.
You know, let me maybe touch a different point. I think both versions are right. And I think everyone सबको अपना आंसर ढूंढना है कि डिजिटल मार्केटिंग या कोई भी लेवल ऑफ मार्केटिंग कब करनी है कब नहीं करनी है. I think what I want to touch on is when we started Pristine, and there's a slightly different point, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. When we started Pristine, we didn't raise any angel round. We put in all our savings into the business. So when Pristine failed हो जाता, I would have gone bankrupt probably 4th time in my life. पहले 3 startup में भी वही हुआ, चौथे में भी I would have definitely gone bankrupt. But what that did was, उसने हमें push किया to work hard at 2 things: our product and services and being in front of the customer all the time. I don't know how many of you know Pristine. We are still fairly very young. हम लोग surgeries करते हैं, opthal, ENT, gynae, knee replacement, piles, hernia, very very unsexy stuff. तो शुरू में एक कोई कपल था, नोएडा रहते थे, तो उनका सर का सर्जरी था. सुबह 6 बजे उनके 6 बजे उनके बेटे का कॉल आता है US से कि हम लोग ना सर्जरी कैंसिल कर रहे हैं. Now this is a time when we used to do one surgery in 2 days. Of course now we do 500 in 1 day, so it's different. But जब हम एक करते थे in 2 years or 2 days, for us it was a heartbreak. And I asked the gentleman, he was in Germany, I was like, sorry, he was in US or Germany somewhere, I don't recollect. He said, यार पापा को ना ऑफिस हॉस्पिटल आने में डर लग रहा है तो वो गाड़ी नहीं चला पा रहे. वो नोएडा से आने वाले, आप गुड़गांव में हो, आपका अस्पताल या आपका क्लिनिक जो भी है नोएडा में, गुड़गांव में, वो नोएडा से आ नहीं पा रहे. एंड he said, क्यों है? वो कह रहे नहीं, सुबह उन्हें ऐसे लग रहा है कि कैसे मैं जाऊँगा, 50 किलोमीटर कैसे चलाऊँगा, वो ग्रेटर नोएडा कहीं रहते हैं. So just out of misery of not missing a surgery and not realizing customer need, हमने बोला उनको घर से ले आते हैं. तो हम 2 घंटा ड्राइव करके गए, उनको घर से लेके आते हैं, और हमने उनसे रास्ते में इतनी बातें की कि क्या प्रॉब्लम थी. वो कह रहे हैं सुबह मेरे हाथ कांप रहे हैं, मेरे को सर्जरी की टेंशन हो रही है, मेरे को लग रहा है मेरी रिकवरी स्लो होगी. Since that day, every patient in Pristine is offered a free pickup and drop at home. We are the first healthcare institution in India to do that. बहुत सारे लोगों ने कॉपी कर लिया है, जैसे सर की नो कन्वीनियंस अभी कॉपी होना चालू हो गया है. But that is actually the best form of marketing. You do something innovative and somebody will market, somebody will copy. So focus on your offering, put yourself ahead, risk everything and work extremely hard. Marketing will follow. कभी ना कभी तो करोगे. That's okay.
Great. Thank you very much. I actually had a rapid fire round. I'm going to cut down my question because I think we want to open it up for audience. But very quick, short answers. Failure is a key requirement for success. Yes or no?
Unavoidable है. मैंने चाह के तो नहीं किया.
Absolutely. I mean, success is a lousy teacher. Failure teaches you a lot.
No.
Okay. Founding team coming together, what are the key factors? Pedigree, experience or chemistry? Which of the 3?
Connection and chemistry.
Chemistry.
So chemistry, great. I will leave the key success factor because every scale is different. We covered profit versus scale. What would you change in terms of your startup if you had to do it all over again? Funding source, domain.
Nothing. I mean, there have been n number of failures, but I think only because of the failures we have gotten where we are. So probably not much.
I would actually go back and solve every problem which we didn't solve earlier. So if I knew earlier, मैं पहले जाके solve करता. So if I knew earlier, I would do that faster.
Okay, great. So with the benefit of hindsight, 3 different founders और 3 different तरीके से आपने अपनी companies build करी. Would you change anything? Would you do something different?
I don't think you, मतलब ये ऐसा hypothetical question है. जो हमने किया है उसी से ही where we are.
So your success today is
Yes, it's a combination of all the mistakes that we have made, all the screw-ups that we have done, all the nights that we have cried. इतनी बेइज्जती हुई है, मतलब मैं बता नहीं सकता आपको. 6 घंटे रिसेप्शनों में बैठे हैं, वो कुछ नहीं बता सकते.
Excellent, great. Looking forward, I know some of you have done acquisitions and some of you are considering acquisitions, and I'm just looking forward from where you are now and looking at the next phase of it. So acquisitions, great idea, good for acqui-hiring, reducing competition, entering new opportunities. Which of the four?
Acquisition has to be done keeping in mind it's a strategic thing, right? So you have to keep in mind what are you buying, and why are you buying and not building. You can either buy time. कि यार अगर मैं बिल्ड करूँ तो मुझे 5 साल लग जाते, मैं आज बिल्ड ये कर देता हूँ. The value that I'm paying is far better than that time that I would have. या ये capability है जो मेरी टीम में है ही, तो मेरे को buying is better than hiring, right? So I think those strategic questions is what you need to ask when you're thinking about this issue.
I mean, I totally agree with it. It also depends on what stage you are at. अगर जैसे we are a public company now, so for me acquisition basically opens up new another verticals. So that is how acquisition I see.
I think actually it really depends. हमने 2 छोटी acquisitions की है, किसी को पता भी नहीं है, लेकिन उसका कारण ये था they brought us capability जो हमारे पास नहीं थी, और जो हमें लगा कि हमें बनाने में टाइम लगेगा तो हमें जल्दी बना लेते हैं. दूसरा रीजन हो सकता है मेरी वरुण mentioned is it enters new market, new opportunity, and Vishal he said it just opens up a new avenue. So by the way, 70% acquisitions fail, just like 90% startups. But if you do it right, you will go through.
Great. So I'm now going to open it up to the audience, and we'll start with the man right there. Oh, with the lady? Okay, please, ma'am. Can somebody get a mic to her very quickly? Sure. Get a mic.
I would request you to just pick up people who raise their hands so that the volunteers can get the mic to a specific person.
Hi sir. So my question is for Varun sir. Thanks for waking me up. Like people like me, it's totally inspiring that working with the partner and how, like coming up, looking at your previous profile, right? So how you came up with your partner and you just thought of working with her and coming out of the box and thinking some more products coming up in the future.
So how do you think about new products going forward?
The great thing about working with your partner is that you sleep with her as well, right? So I mean, you end up talking about your business through the night.
That's the only place it is.
Like you've been working with the premium brands, will you do? Like looking at your profile, right? So
Just
how you
one question, please. No follow on. Otherwise, you will not be able to.
So I'm just saying that you get so much time to talk at peace, right? In the nights, in early mornings, and those times are always new idea generation times, and those are the times we come up with amazing innovation ideas.
Great, thanks. I think gentleman in the back, what did you picture? Our time member.
Mr. Alok, for giving the opportunity. I am Harmeet Chandok and I run wealth management for Tiger Wealth. And I have a question to the gentleman whose company is listed and to the other gentleman sitting on right to left whose company is not listed but they raised a lot of money on A, B, C, D, E, and we can continue with that. Now, hear me out and I'll just sound reality to you, and which is something which I've been trying to comprehend but don't have an answer. Which is, when the companies are raising money, so let's say they were valued at 300 million at C, D, they'll become 500 million, and then soon you realize they're a unicorn and so on and so forth. But as soon as the reality hits of the stock market, when they list, each a different story. Look at Paytm, gone down the drain. From 2100 is hovering at 600-700 rupees share. So that means the valuation has culminated by 3 times. If you look at Policy Bazaar,
सर सवाल क्या है?
सवाल आपको समझ आ गया होगा कि जब रियलिटी हिट होती है स्टॉक मार्केट की,
सवाल से पहले जवाब भी देता हूँ आपको. काला चश्मा पहनोगे तो काला ही दिखेगा.
सर मैं गोरा
आपने एग्जांपल्स लिए जो डाउन गए, राइट? नाइका भी तो एग्जांपल है.
Okay, so
it raised like 3.5 billion, it's still at 8 billion, right? Even after dropping, right? So examples positive भी है, negative भी है. आपके attitude पे डिपेंड करता है आप क्या देखना चाहते हो.
सर मैं आपकी बात की रिस्पेक्ट कर रहा हूँ and I appreciate the question is not of attitude. मैं सिर्फ एक रियलिटी पूछ रहा हूँ कि ऐसा क्यों होता है majority, and please understand I'm on your side, कि ऐसा क्यों होता है कि जब वो लिस्ट होती है, let's say Nykaa is an aberration, most of them don't get that well. That's my limited.
So basically, पहले तो ये बताना चाहूँगा कि this is a very new thing for Indian startup ecosystem. ये अभी last year शुरू हुआ है. So please bear. जो correct valuation की आपने बात की है, कईयों में correct होनी चाहिए थी, कईयों में correct होने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी. जैसे for example इस बार हमने 90 में किया था, 400 के आसपास चल रहा है. तो there are examples on both the sides. But it's just that अभी यहाँ पे मेच्योरिटी नहीं आई है, धीरे धीरे we will hit that maturity and things will stabilize.
और म्यूचुअल फंड वाले अपनी एड में भी सिखाते हैं कि 4 से 5 साल का होराइजन लेके करें, 3 महीने में जादू ना एक्सपेक्ट करें. ये जो कैंपस होते हैं ये सब 6 महीने के कैंपस है, उसका 3-4 साल वेट करो, राइट, लेट द स्टोरी प्ले आउट.
सर जब आप फ्लाइट पे ट्रैवल करते हैं, बहुत सारे जहाज गिर जाते हैं, कि आप ट्रैवल करना छोड़ देते हैं क्या? आई थिंक दैट्स द वे टू.
Gentleman in the black shirt here, right here. Can somebody get a mic?
Hi everyone, my name is Arjun Sharma and I've recently started a food e-commerce company and it's by the name of Yum Basket. So we basically source regional food items from different states and list those on our platform. Like Agra is famous for its petha, Bengal is famous for its sweets. So we list them on our platform and we deliver across India. So my question is for Prashant sir, that I really like the fact that you mentioned, like even after having low profit margins, you were able to run a profitable business out of it. So now in e-commerce, is the same thing possible? Like we have 25%, 30% gross profit, which is less being since we are an e-commerce company. So do you think it is possible to keep it bootstrapped and still profitable?
See, मेरे हिसाब से there is humongous amount of opportunity to internet क्या हो रहा है? According to me, internet is getting commoditized. Internet पहले novelty था, अब novelty नहीं रहा है. It's a commodity right now where anybody can come and anybody can serve. आपको कोई बहुत बड़ा brand image create करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. Word of mouth बहुत जल्दी spread होता है thanks to social media. So according to me, there is a huge amount of opportunity to create. मैं अपने धंधे को बोलता हूँ हमने बनिया धंधा बनाया इंटरनेट में. As simple as that. And there is a huge opportunity to disrupt a lot of things by following the same model, by following your unit economics first, and then using internet as a commodity to serve everybody. So मुझे कहीं पे भी कोई challenge नहीं लगता to grow your business even at this stage.
I am told that we don't have any more time. I will take one last question from the lady there. Right, go ahead.
Hello everyone, very good afternoon. I am Dimple from Skill Ninja Academy. My question is for you, Varun. As your product is basically for women of India, what do you think how important it is for the women to be educated not only about the products but for overall? What is the value?
You've touched a nerve, ma'am. The most disappointing statistic in the last 2 years for me is not COVID deaths, which is another road pe hoti hai, was the fact that our female participation in workforce has gone down by 10%. And that is extremely worrying for me. As an entrepreneur, as a leader, the only thing that I want to see over the next 10 years is more women participating in the workforce. It is the best thing that will happen to this country. The more independent women are, the more they will actually add to the economy, the more they'll actually be discretionary consumers and add into consumption, the more we will have equal power play happening in families, better decision making. There is so many benefits of it that I can write a book. And I just hope and pray all of us realize that fact and just ensure that starts happening.
Then we would love to be associated with you because we are actually working on women empowerment.
We would love to.
We are running online school for Indian women.
आपको बताया था ना उन्होंने कैसे?
First name not last name.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
So great. I think with this I'd like to close the panel. I just want to summarize for the benefit of everybody. We started with the differences and the commonalities, but I'm hoping that at the end of this session you are left with, as I was, or the commonality of what all three have done. Like know your customer, work your business, know your business, right? Listen. Making sure you're working hard on continuous improvement. COVID, for most of them, we didn't touch on it, but for every one of them, there was an accident. Use every challenge as an opportunity. Build for the long term, not for the short term. Don't worry about working hard. The journey is the reward. Reward के लिए काम करोगे तो मुश्किल है. Yeah, but journey is the reward, and the journey continues. So thank you very much for sharing your journey. Is a big round of applause for our very own. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that power-packed panel, and I can't allow you to
to felicitate our illustrious panel, I would like to invite on the dais Mr. Robin Agarwal, Vice President of TIE Chandigarh. First up, our gratitude to Mr. Harsimar Singh, co-founder, Pristine Care. Next up, Mr. Prashant Pitti, co-founder, Ease My Trip. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Varun Alag, co-founder and CEO, Mama Earth. And our moderator, Mr. Alok Ramsasarya, CEO, Resiti Interactive, and also Chair, Tycon Chandigarh. Well, who better to moderate this panel than the Chair of Tycon, right? Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that wonderful discussion. And I feel as entrepreneurs, we need to take care that we always work for a cause, not for applause.
And the mark of a good business is always when it gives back to society. थोड़ा आगे बढ़ते हैं. There are some people that we really need to thank with all our hearts क्योंकि ऐसा event तब खड़ा होता है जब PMA Patiala, Startup Accelerator Chamber of Commerce, Plaksha University and Brand Masale, followed by innovative incentives. Our outreach partner, ladies and gentlemen, Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, Innovative Mission Punjab, and our gifting partners, We Love to Heal along with Delicious, followed by our